Well, hey there, everyone. So, earlier this week, I was going through my towel cabinet, and there were a bunch of towels that I needed to get rid of, because they were old and janky and full of holes and stains. So, I was looking at this pile of towels, and a thought came upon my noggin, and that was to make clothes out of them. I think this is kind of a trend this year, is to have, like, towel shorts, and towel clothes, for, like, beach and pool wear. So I figured I might as well reuse these towels instead of throwing them away, which we would generally use these towels as like rags around the house, but instead I'm gonna make clothing out of them. So I ended up with a massive stack of towels that we really needed to get rid of. So there's a variety of colors in there. So I think what I'm gonna do is do a pair of shorts, a shirt, and then a bag. And so for the shorts, since we have some colors to play with, I think I'm gonna do a different color for the two panels of the front and the back. And then the shirt's gonna be all one color, and then the bag will be like a multicolored kind of thing. So that's what we're gonna be doing this week. So for the pattern, for the shorts, I did purchase a pattern from this lovely person on Etsy. So let's do the shorts first then. So pretty much I just have to tape that pattern together and cut them out, and then I can cut out my pattern pieces. So since I'm using two different colors for the front and the back panels, I'm gonna cut one front panel and one back panel on one towel, and then one front panel and one back panel on another towel, so that I have two different colors for both the front and the back, and then the back, the front and the back, if that makes any sense. So once I have those all cut out, it's a pretty simple construction to do. So you're going to take the front and back piece of one side and the front and back piece of the other side and sew them right sides together down just the one side. Then once you sew those two long sides down, you can go ahead and sew the short sides down, and I will catch you back in a minute. So the first thing that we need to do is cut out the pattern pieces. So you'll see that I have the back panel and the front panel on one color of a towel, and then the front panel and back panel on another color of the towel, so that we can get mismatched colors. And as you'll see here, I do mess up. I should have reversed the patterns on the second towel. So if you are doing this, please do not do the same thing that I did, but I will explain a bit of how I fixed that later. Then once we have those cut out, we're going to place the front panel and the back panel of the two opposite colors right sides together and sew it down the long side. Then you're going to sew down the short side right sides together on both of the shorts. So I messed up a little bit because, as you might have seen and been screaming at your phone about, I screwed up cutting out the pattern. Because normally when you cut out two pieces of fabric, you have one the same way as the pattern and then one reversed. I did not flip over the pattern when I was cutting out the second pieces. So basically, I have two sides of the same shorts. So I guess I'm making two pairs of shorts for this video. So I'm going to recut out the other half of both of these shorts in 4 other colors so that we can have a little bit of a variety of shorts. So I'm going to flip the patterns to do them the correct way this time, so that they can each match up with the other halves of the shorts that I have. So once I cut those out, we're going to do the same process of sewing it down the sides and then sewing it down the short legs. And now we're going to take the shorts right sides together and put them inside each other and then sew that U. And that's, once you turn it right side out, you have like shorts almost. And then this pattern does call for a waistband, and I did play around with the waistband, and I ended up not liking it, so I ended up just folding the top of the shorts down once. I could not do it twice because of how thick the towel material is, so I just folded it down once. I don't really have to worry about fraying or anything, so that's not a big issue. And then I left a little gap, and then that's where I can insert a string to tie these shorts when I'm wearing them. And then last but not least for them, I am going to chop the shorts where I want them to be hemmed, and then again just fold it up once on the inside and sew it because I cannot fold it twice. So once I do that for both of the shorts, we are ready to move on to the shirt construction, so I'll see you in a little bit. Now, since I did mess up the colors, like I said, I did have to recut out the patterns in new towels, but you'll see that I do flip over the reverse of the patterns rather than what I did before, so that this will create the other half of the shorts. And then this does get the same thing as the other half of the shorts, where we're going to place them right sides together and sew down the long side and then down the short side of these shorts. Now that we finally have our 2 halves of the shorts, we're going to place them inside each other, right sides together, and sew along that U. From there, the shorts can now be hemmed, but I only fold it up once because folding it 2 is far too thick for this machine, but it doesn't fray, so I'm not too worried about that. Now for the waistline, again, we're just going to fold it down once and then sew and leave a little gap so that we can feed a string through so that these can cinch closed. And again, for the second pair of shorts, we're going to do the same process. So we're going to cut out those 2 colors with the reverse pattern like we did with the orange pair. And then once everything is sewn down the sides, we're going to place them inside each other, right sides together, and sew along that U. Then the bottom of these shorts can be hemmed the same way as the other ones. And then the waistband can also be folded down and then leave a little gap so that we can feed a string through. Okay, now for the shirt. So this is a fairly simple construction. So I already had in mind what I wanted the shirt to look like. based off of a shirt that I already own. So I just took that shirt and I basically traced a pattern for it. I did have to account for the fact that this shirt that I'm tracing stretches when I put it on, and a towel will not. So I had to extend the pattern just a bit so that I can actually get the shirt on and off and have it fit. So once I have traced both the front and the back of this shirt to be cut on a fold, I cut them out of my towel material. And then there will definitely not be a lining on this or a bias tape because of how thick it is. So to combat the exposed edges, I basically just folded over the side really small and sewed really close to the edge of the arms and the neckline, and that ended up working really well. So before I even sewed them together, I did that and finished off those seams. Then from there, the shirt can be sewn down the sides and the shoulders, and then hem the bottom, and the shirt is done. So let's go ahead and move on to the bag after this. Now for the shirt, again, I do use a shirt as a template that I already own, so I'm just going to trace that out and then create my seam allowance and a little bit extra for accounting for the stretch that the towel will not have. Then the front and the back get cut on a fold on this towel. Now again, instead of putting a lining or a bias tape, I'm just going to simply fold over the edge of the armhole and the neck lining of this shirt and just sew it down so that it is not exposed. Then the front and the back panel of the shirt can be placed right sides together and sewn down the sides and the shoulders. And lastly for this shirt, it can just be folded up once for the hem and it is done. Now for the back construction. So I wanted this to be a bit of a accumulation of all of the colors that I have used. So again, it's just gonna be like patchwork. So I kind of just traced out a pattern that I thought would work for this. So it's going to be 4 squares and then a bottom. So that's what I traced out. So I had to cut out basically 8 squares, 2 colors of each of the towels, and then 1 strip for the bottom. Then from there, all the squares get sewn together, then they get sewn to the bottom, and then it all gets sewn together. You'll see how I do that. And then I go ahead and make a lining of the same measurements, and that gets sewn right sides together inside of the bag. But before I do that, I'm going to make straps. So for the straps, you know that like one part of the edge of the towel that has like a little design on it? Well, I used those to make the straps of this bag because they will not fray. So I just basically cut those off with the towel and nothing else is needed. I just go ahead and insert it in between the towel and the lining, and then once I sew that around and turn it right sides out, I have my handles on. And then with that, this bag is done and we are ready for the final look. Now lastly for the bag, I did measure out some squares, and we're going to cut out 8 of these squares in 4 different towels so that we have 4 different colors on each side of the bag. And then I'm also going to cut out a little bottom white strip that will be the bottom of this bag. Then once the colors are placed where I want them to be, I'm going to take the top squares and the bottom squares, place them right sides together, and sew them down. And then once I've ironed them out, I can place those two squares on top of the other ones right sides together and sew those and iron them. Then from there, that square unit gets sewn onto the bottom strip of this bag, and then I will do the same process for the other half of the squares of this bag. After trimming down a bit of the excess of the sides so that this will line up correctly, I'm going to fold the bag in half and sew it down the sides right sides together. Then to give this bag a little bottom, I'm going to cut a little 1 by 1 inch square out of the bottom of the white strip, and then that gets folded in half and sewn so that it gives us a little bit of a bottom. Now for the lining, I measured out approximately the size of this bag, and I'm just going to cut out a rectangle on a fold, and then that gets sewn right sides together down the side, and then it gets that same 1 by 1 inch cut out of the bottom and then folded in half and sewn to give it the same bottom of this bag. And then for the straps of the bag, I'm going to use this little decorative strip of the towel and just cut out the strips of those, and that gets sandwiched in between the lining and the towel part of this bag, and then that will get sewn all the way around except for a little gap, which I will use to turn right sides out, and then I will sew that down. Lastly, I'm just going to sew a little structural line at the top of this bag, and then we are all done and ready for the final look. I dug my bathing suit out of the depths of my dresser to do this video. I think this turned out really well. The shorts are surprisingly comfortable. I wouldn't think that like towel material would be comfortable to wear, but I don't feel it. Like, I thought it was gonna be itchy and uncomfortable, but honestly, they're just like really comfortable shorts, to be honest. I love the like color changing aspect of these. These turned out so cute, much cuter than I thought I was going to, especially for a pattern that I hadn't tried yet. That was a risk, but it turned out really well. That was a great pattern. Minus the like a waistband adjustments and whatnot, these were a solid shorts pattern. And then the bag, I think turned out really cute, but I wish it was less long. It's very long. That's just kind of how I accidentally did it. I wish I'd done it wider rather than longer, but that's how it turned out. It's still a nice and like sturdy bag. I almost didn't put a lining in it because I didn't really feel like doing that, but I did do it, so everything is encased inside of there. But either way, it's still a nice quality bag that I think would be great for beach wise, especially if you have like a towel or whatnot you want to bring to the beach. Yeah, that's a solid thing. And then the shirt I think turned out pretty cute. I just wish, like, I wish I could have made it in a little bit just because like the shoulders are really wide. But I was afraid that if I did, then it wasn't gonna fit. Like, it's already like a challenge to get on and off just because this material does not stretch at all. But I still think it's pretty cute on its own, even like as like a regular shirt. I think that turned out really good. It's, again, like, I don't feel the texture of the towel unless I'm like touching it. Then I'm like, oh, it's a towel. But besides that, it's pretty cute. So yeah, overall, this would be such a great like beach day. Like, again, I have my bathing suit under this, just stripping on the water, or like a pool day, or even to like wash a car or wash your dog or something that you can get wet, and then wash later. And these are literally just made out of old towels, so you don't really care if they get screwed up. I will say, sewing this was a bit of a challenge. I broke like 5 needles doing this freaking project, I swear to God. And I think I might have lost the tip of my needle inside of my machine. That has yet to be found. I did take it like all apart looking for it, so who knows, maybe it's not somewhere in my machine wreaking havoc, but it could be. It could be. And then also cutting the material, I swept like 4 times in like every single day I was sewing because as soon as you cut the material, all of the little things you've probably seen littered everywhere. Like, I have tracked those little towel bits across the entire house. I'm gonna have to sweep everywhere. I think I'll still be finding those 3 years from now. They're everywhere. But besides the sewing process, I think it still turned out really good. I think this would be a great, easy like project to do, especially if you don't want to get rid of towels, or even if you like thrift cute towels that you want to make into clothes. Do that and then save them from the landfill. So yeah, let me know if you like this. Let me know what you want to see more of. So anywho to do, if you like what I did, go and like and subscribe. I post most Saturdays, mostly at noon, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching!